Yes, Ashwarya.
Yeah, I have one question. So, once the session is started, what would the regular time?
Okay, so the regular time as per Indian Standard Time, it will be like the training will be on weekend, which is like for 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday each. It
Okay.
starts 11 in the morning and yeah, goes up to 1 p.m. But this is something which is a proposal. We can also discuss if there is any changes needed in the timing. But days are going to be weekend for this batch.
Okay, so don't you conduct any training that is regular? I mean, 5 day a week?
It is, but like the last batch was on weekdays, which is on Monday to Friday. We had a last batch,
Hmm.
and yeah, there was a demand to have this training on weekend as well. So that's why, like most of the time, the training is on weekdays. At times, we also have few batches for weekend. So this batch is for the weekend.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, before we let's get started as well. And before I'll start, guys, do you have any questions or queries to ask from my side? And I'll be happy to answer again, best of my capacity and knowledge. If not, then maybe it's good we can get started with some basic concepts and doing the
I
installation setup of Camunda SaaS. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to cut you. Uh, so Pegas, sorry. That Camunda 7 is mandatory to learn Camunda 8, or I mean, we can start with Camunda 8 itself.
Yeah, we can start with the Camunda 8 itself. Camunda 7 is not necessary to learn. Okay, it's not a prerequisite.
But yesterday,
Considering,
but yesterday you mentioned that the case management part is, I mean, in the Camunda 7.
yeah, so both are the versions from the same product actually, but architecture-wise, it's a completely shift from Camunda 7 to Camunda 8. So ideally, you can consider them as a almost like a different products. Okay, though like few things are common, which is something common across other BPM tools as well, like the BPMN notations and the task. Apart from that, like if we talk about the modeling part, if we talk about the engines, which is the core and the heart of the product, they are different. How they have been embedded in backend applications, like in Camunda 7, they are like embedded engines. However, these one are standalone Java engines. And then apart from that, how we also integrate them with the backend operations like the REST APIs and everything is also different. And then in Camunda 8, there are a lot of new features are there, which is completely different Camunda 7. So in that case, these two versions of the product, right, are significantly different. And yes, of course, having a knowledge of Camunda 7 at times it's good, but it's not mandatory or it's not a prerequisite.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. One more question. I mean, there is a cloud version that we can use for 30 days, and would you provide any installable, I mean, so that I mean we are not dependent on that 30 days free trial version?
Of course, when like I cannot provide that, it also comes at with the community version, open source, but then it is very limited, right? You don't have access for few of the components and features in the community version. Okay, community version is like a free and open source. When we talk about the free version open source, of course, all the features are not available in any product which comes with an open source. Okay. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to learn all the features which are available and supported by the product, even though the upcoming features as well, which are also known as alpha releases. Okay, so that we can use with the trial version. It is available for 30 days, but what you need is just you need a email address. So there are two ways. If you have an email address, right, like another email address, then you can use that particular trial version for your learning for another 30 days. Okay. If not, you can delete your account and then you can reactivate again. So that's not a problem.
Okay. Okay.
Hope I
Thank you.
answered the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thank
Any other questions? Okay, I'll take it as no. And then probably share my screen with you. Before we start, I'll also share that link. Okay. Otherwise, you can also go on Google and check Camunda 8 free trial download. Okay. So you will get couple of options, but here you can see this camunda.com and download. So you can get this option as well. Apart from that, I can share that link with you on the chat, which is a direct link to register yourself for the free version. What you need to do here is just provide the information here, like very basic information, and sign up. So you'll get details on your email address to verify your email address. Otherwise, you can also directly sign up with your Google account or your GitHub account, right? So once you do that, uh, like you have to whatever email addresses you have, you can just register and you will get a email notification on your registered mail address. You just need to acknowledge it like any other uh, account, right? To verify that your account is valid. After that, what it says, you get a free Camunda account, which is valid for 30 trial days. Okay. That involves almost like all the features, but again, because it's a trial account, you have few limitations around it, which we can discuss during our training sessions. Okay. However, in this case, you will get everything what you need for the learning. Okay. As a production system as well, where there are different components like console, modular, task list, operate, and optimize. Okay, these are again out of the box features, which is like you have it from the product to do the configuration and the development, also the debugging and analyzing your processes, right? So there are components by which you can go and create your clusters, okay, because it's a SaaS version, okay. So you don't have to uh, do or you don't have to worry anything about installing of any softwares. You will be getting your virtual machine available in one of the cloud, okay. You can create it, your cluster on that, and within that cluster, your engines, which is like your ZB engine, your process modeler engine, right? And other engines will be running, which you can use to develop your applications. Okay. And to develop the applications, we need to understand how you can develop these applications. Like this is one of the very basic and simple BPMN application. People who have worked on the BPM may correlate, right? What these elements are. Okay. Nothing fancy. But in Camunda, right, how you can create, it's not only about creating, but also how you can configure them, which means what are the properties, okay, you need to set when you are using different type of task or elements in your process design. Okay. So that is something we will just discuss. But before we move into that topic, I would like to understand what is BPMN. Okay. Anybody who has worked on any BPMN product, right? So far, can comment on that or can explain maybe in one line, okay, or very basics about that. What is your understanding with the BPMN? And if you know about BPMN, what are the other low code notations are available for doing the automations? Any idea about that?
Yeah, so
Like,
I worked on Pega. Actually, I'm
mm-hmm.
working on Pega. So Pega is a BPM tool. It's a low code tool. So generally, we achieve our business processes through this tool. I mean, it's a low code. So by managing some configuration, we can achieve in minimal time, minimal effort, and minimal code.
Okay, good one. So what I understand is you have worked on BPAG. Of course, it's a BPMN tool. We call it as a low code tool. Low code means you have to code less. And what is mean by less? It's a subjective thing, right? You have to do a comparison with other tools or technologies what are available in IT. So usually we can say like if you do a comparison with pro code things like automating your applications with the let's say Python, .NET, Java, or something else, right? As if you compare with them, you have to code a little bit less. Okay. And there are few tools as well which are also known as no code. Okay. So it lies in between, right? Uh, between pro code and no code. So we call it as a low code, such as Paga. Okay. You design your BPMN processes, which helps you to automate your processes with lesser time and effort. Here, the question is, do you think here you mentioned you design your BPMN process. Is BPMN easy to understand and develop?
Yes, as compared to, Java and .NET, yeah, it is.
It is. Okay. Again, it can be subjective, but yeah, what I have heard or what is my understanding as well, 9 out of 10 people will say, yes, it is easy. And that we can call it like majority says it is easy. So it is actually easy. Some people still may argue that writing a code is pretty easy. So it's subjective, but more often than not, we can call it is easy to understand and develop. Why? Because of low code, because of collaborative approach,
Mm, I think
Reusability.
because
it
of flowchart.
yeah, it's kind of visualize this business process. So so when any persons looks at the flow, they can
Mhm.
easily understand the how the process can work.
Absolutely. So if I look into this, right, this is one of the process flow. Ideally, this cannot be an automation, but you can think about maybe one of the feature, right, of your process, okay, or maybe a subset of your overall application. Do you think it is understandable what is there? Do you get some information here?
Yes.
Okay, which means you are able to understand what is happening here. Maybe to illustrate, we are starting something. Okay, after that, we can say the flow will move on to a next step because it's a kind of a flow chart you can think about, right? This act after this step, right? You have some other step. We'll go in detail maybe further, right? As the name mentioned, you are filling some customer information. Maybe you're gathering some information, right, about your process to get maybe some customer information. After that, you are doing some processing, right, of the data what you retrieve maybe, and then reviewing that information and then completing it, right? So easy to understand, right? But is it equally easy to develop? Like if I'll say get some customer information, okay, develop a process, just this step, okay. Maybe you have a user story to create a process or automation where you need to get some information for the customer And then once it has been retrieved, you need to do some calculations on that. After that, it has to go for a review. Maybe you might think of creating this automation in some Pro code or Java or .NET, or what I'm trying to refer here is if you have to model that process, looks like pretty easy, right? Just few steps. Then can you develop that? Maybe if you have worked on IBM BPM or Oracle BPM or Pega or APN, do you think it's going to be complex enough? Yes, no?
Yeah, not much
I think
complex.
Yeah, because this is a very, very small process, but still you think, right, you have to apply some thought process around it, right? In real scenarios, normally you won't be having such kind of easy automation, but you think about maybe one of the task you have is to do that. Depending upon that, right, what tool you have to use, okay? First of all, you have to get familiar with that, how you can develop that. For that you need to understand what BPMN offers, okay? Because when we learn these things, right, maybe somebody can challenge. These are different type of tasks, right? But if you look into that, there are different type of activities are there, okay, to get the details and to perform different type of operations, right? There are different operations are there. Here I'm getting some information from a form, okay, from a user task. You can see this human icon here. So we will go in detail what is a task, what is an event, what are gateways, okay, what are processes, sub processes, why and where we should use that, okay, what are the symbols, right? All these things will go, what is the necessity and what is the recommendation. But as of now, right, let's say if I'm getting this information from a form, somebody can also challenge, right? Instead of that, we can get it from some API call, okay, from other system. We can get it from database. We can get it from some file, okay? Uh, Different processes may have different way of retrieving the data, isn't it? But then it depends upon your application and processes as well. And then let's say here you are trying to get the information from a form. You can create some forms, right? You get this information, first name, last name, age, email address, phone number, address information, whatever. Okay. You are getting this information from a form. But similar thing, maybe in your other application, somebody will ask you to get it from API or from database. Then you should understand, right, what are the different activities are available. So that's a challenge, right? Businesses are complex, okay? Many steps, people, systems, and decisions are involved. Isn't it? When you try to automate your processes or complex processes, why you create your processes? Okay. To solve the business problem, isn't it? Which means when you try to create your processes, you get some outcome. In the end, when you finish your process, you get some outcome. Let's say you are creating your leave management system. Okay. So once you start a process, you get the leave information, get it reviewed by the manager. Maybe you send some notifications for the approval or rejection, update your leave management system if the leave is approved or not. After that, you get an outcome, right? Whether a leave is approved or leave is rejected. If you think about a loan application, right? Somebody will apply for a loan, okay? Loan application will be reviewed. Maybe some internal processes will be triggered for the risk assessment, credit assessment, KYC process. Maybe you do some internal analysis to do some decisions, reviews. But after that, you get an outcome, right? Whether a loan is approved or it is rejected. So that's your outcome of your process, isn't it? In a patient healthcare, in a telecom, maybe different applications have a different business processes which you try to create. But in the end, you are trying to solve a business problem, okay, which involves people, systems, and decisions to get the outcome. Maybe at times you need all of these things, at times you may need few of things. But to do that, first you need to understand what are the different elements are available for doing that automation. People means human in the loop. System means any system task. Maybe you are doing some scripting, you are doing some API call, you are writing some custom code, or you are doing XYZ other things. Whatever is not involved with the people is a system task. And decisions, anybody has heard about DMN?
Yeah, it's kind of decision management.
It's a decision management, right?
Yeah.
Where we can use that? It's a different specification altogether, right? Which is governed by the object management group, similar to like BPMN. You use it to automate your business decisions, okay, by using algorithms, also known as hit policy, right? Available. And these DMN, right, will be integrated within your processes or cases if your product supports the third terminology, which is CMMN, right? So third terminology is CMMN. Anybody has heard about CMMN? Because when somebody work on low code tools, right, any BPM tool, these are the three terminologies, right? You should always be aware of it. That's where comes the basics and fundamentals. Anybody has worked on CMMN or you have heard about CMMN or it's completely a new terminology for you? You have answered about BPMN very well, DMN as well.
CMN is content management.
No. Okay, maybe not, but many products are supporting CMMN. People are at times not aware of that. In Camunda 7 also CMMN is supported, but not in Camunda 8. So it's case management modeling notation. Okay.
Okay.
So usually,
Inside the IBM BPM is the ACM, Advanced Case Management System.
yeah, with different terminologies and names, there are different names are there. But yeah, that in general, these are the product names, that what they will call it. But ideally, as a specification, when you talk from generic point of view, because all these notations have been governed by object management group, which is OMG. So they just provide the specifications, okay? Which means they have a group which provide the specifications around these notations, but different tools implement them, okay, by their own way. Like if you talk about BPMN, right? PAGA might have different type of connectors. Camunda BPM can have a different type of connectors. APN might have a different type of implementations. Okay. Oracle BPM and IBM may have a different type of implementation. Someone will come directly with the database connectors or HTTP connector or file FTP connectors. That is a different implementation what product will do. But in general, they provide some specifications around it. How a particular element should look like and what are the common terminologies which every product should adhere, right? In terms of gateways, events, and activities. We'll discuss about them. So all these specifications are being governed by object management group. We have a group of companies which are working as a together since quite few decades to manage those specifications. That's why you might have heard about which BPMN language you are working upon. You call it as BPMN 2.0 nowadays, right? DMN, it's DMN 1.3. Case management, it's CMMN 1.1. Okay. So what is this versioning? Who is managing that? Who is delivering that? That is being managed by Object Management Group. But then when we talk about BPM and CMM, right, they are almost like kind of a counterpart. Okay. Whatever we develop from BPMN, we can also develop the same processes with case management as well, and vice versa. But when you work in complex applications, right, having a trio combination of BPMN, CMMN, and DMN, right, gives you a lot of liberty and flexibility to develop those complex applications with so much ease and clarity. Okay, easy to manage as well. Why we are creating applications with BPMN? Because of the low code, right? You can create applications easily which can be understood by other persons as well, right? Here what you can see, something like that. Similar way,
But
when you,
tell me one thing. I have just one doubt. Is really Camunda is a low code, no code?
it's not no code, but it's low code. But Camunda 8 is more about developer friendly. So major of the times, right? Most of the times you also have to write some job workers, okay? Which is
Actually,
something
can you
in
speak
your,
little bit loudly? Your voice looks a little bit low. If possible,
is
then
it better now?
the same actually.
Is okay.
I don't know whether I am facing the same thing or
Is it the
everyone.
same case with others as well? You're not able to hear me well?
You are good. I mean, we can hear you.
No, we are able to hear you well, actually, Deepak. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Because I can see uh, audio level at my side is looks pretty good and stable. Sanjay, maybe if you can check at your end, if you are connected with any earpods or your voice level in your machine may help. Because
Okay.
from my end, I
Sure.
can see I have a optimal configuration of the audio from my side.
Okay, okay, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually I call it as Camunda 8 is more of a developer friendly low code product. Okay. Where you have to develop or you can develop your applications by using low code notations such as BPMN and DMN. But at times you also have to write some custom code for implementing service tasks and few other things as well. But yeah, service task is something which is most of the time more often than not in other BPM applications you have to write, okay, in some custom code like in Java or something. Here also you have to write the similar kind of code, but there is a way, okay, how you can write it. There are specific guidelines around it because there is a ZB engine which has been introduced, so you have to annotate your job workers, right, which you can integrate in your service task when you have some custom code to write. Then there is a recommendation how you can write them. Okay. Apart from that, service tasks, sometimes you have to also write some scripting. Okay. So that is pretty easy and straightforward because it supports field expressions, okay, which is easy to understand and develop as well. But apart from that, yeah, most of the things, whatever you create your applications, right, they are towards low code. Like you create your applications with the low code. So now when we talk about BPMN, right, you have to pretty much understand these are quite structured processes. Okay. Which means what is mean by the structured processes? The mean is you have sequence of activities to be executed in your workflow, and you know uh, who will be responsible for executing each step, right? Like, what does it mean? Whenever you create your BPMN process, right, you know what are the steps you are going to execute, which means I will be having one activity. Once that is done, I'll be moving on to the second step, and then third step, and then fourth step, something like. And then once I'm done with all the steps, I'll get my business outcome. And then you also understand who is going to be responsible for executing this step. Maybe it's a system task, maybe it's a decision task, or maybe it's a human in the loop, right? Sometimes you have to review something, maybe you introduce a human in the loop. Sometimes you don't have to involve your humans. You need to get some data. Maybe you do the system task. It can be any other system task. This is something we will understand and learn in detail. So don't worry about that. But this is how you design your BPMN processes. First, you design it. Okay, there is a design phase where you try to drive or draw your flow chart. Okay, how and which steps you are going to execute. Then there is a way how you can atomize them. Okay, how you can split those steps as well into multiple steps. That is something which comes during the design phase, and then you start implementing them. Same thing I think we follow in any automation as well. First process or first thought process will be on the design part. More strong you are in the design part, more better you have your development cycle and outcome as well. Okay, but yeah, in BPMN process we call it as these are structured process because we know, okay, what should be my next steps and outcomes will be, okay, after executing them, who is going to execute them. But when we talk about CMMM, right, these are quite of unstructured processes are there, right, which means they will be event, actions, and conditions based. You don't know what is going to happen, okay, when you execute one step, right? Maybe they are more driven towards actions and events, and mostly instead of who will be responsible for them, they are more about the knowledge workers. Now what does it mean when I talk about the unstructured processes, right? This is more about let's say two things. You have a KYC process, okay, which means you get some documents. You have a one task, okay, you start your process, get the documents, then get maybe more information from let's say you get the documents from a customer, then after that you get some more information from other systems as well. After that you review the documents, maybe by KYC officer, okay, and take decision. What is the decision? It can be approved, it can be rejected, maybe at times on hold as well. But yeah, and once that is done, right, if it is approved, maybe go to next step. If it is rejected, maybe ask for more information or delete the record or complete the record. That's how you might be doing in KYC process, right? Looks like, and again, process to process and business to business, there might be more information, but looks like a KYC process when you are going to design, right? A very classical case which you can automate by using BPMN, right? Why? Because this looks like very structured steps, right? You know what are the steps you're going to follow after. You cannot do the approve and rejection right at the first step. You know, first you have to get this information and then you take those decisions in a sequential manner. Okay. So you're executing all your tasks and activities in a sequential manner, and you know who is going to be responsible. Like if a decision has to be taken, right, to review the documents, it should be someone, maybe a KYC officer, maybe a single person or a team, right, who can do that action. And based on that, you move on to the next step. Okay. For me, that is a structured process. You know, there is a sequence of activities which you need to execute. Very classical case, you can automate by using BPM processes. Same way, maybe if you talk about, um, let's take very generic example, leave application. Can someone tell me what are the steps you think about when you are going to design a leave application. Let's say we're starting the application.
Starting the then next step, approval from manager supervisor.
Okay, maybe someone has to submit the application, submit the
I think
leave
the
application.
resource is the submit will submit the application.
Okay, so maybe employee is submitting the application. Fine. After that, it will be reviewed by the manager, right?
Supervisor approval. Hmm. Hmm.
By manager or supervisor. After that,
HR approval may be required. Our project manager will
maybe, yeah,
require.
maybe optional, we can say. So let's say we also send emails, okay, or notifications. When somebody apply the leave, maybe we send a notification to the employee as well as to the manager that there is a action for you to do, right? And once it is, let's say, approved, it can be approved, it can be rejected. A decision has to be taken, right? So let's say if it is approved, you need to also update leave management system, right? To adjust the number of leaves. Okay. If you have applied for 5 number of days of annual leave, you need to also update your leave management system so that next time once an employee is applying a leave, it should have a updated number of records. And then, yeah, almost like that's it. Here
I
also,
think
you know,
second step also it's required to check whether the leave is available for him or not.
of course, yes. So yeah, again, depending upon the process to process business application, we can have few tweaks. But the idea here is, don't you think we have a sequence of steps here, right? Which is quite structured. We know who is going to submit the application, who is going to review the application, maybe a manager or supervisor. If HR approval is required, maybe we have certain elements or available in BPM, right? To bypass those steps as well, depending upon the data. Okay, we have. Then we need to send some email notifications, update the leave management system, and yeah, we are done. So looks like very structured process again. So that is a BPMN application you can very well design. But let's think about of a loan management system, right? What do you think when you have to apply for a loan? Maybe I'll simplify it. Submit loan application. After that,
Fin crime
you
check.
might have, sorry.
Fin crime check. Financial crime.
Okay, perfect.
And then next step is his credit balance availability, like whether he's available to apply for that amount or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe bank internal approvals like CASA approval.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally step would be the if everything is okay, then uh, offer letter to send to the customer, the sanction letter kind of thing.
Yep. And then start EMI process, right? Closure of loan, get feedback, maybe you can have. So if you think about that, right? These are the process, these are the steps. But if we look into that, right? This financial crime check itself can be a process. Okay. We can design as a sub process, which we can reuse it. Because that also involve quite a few things. You need to get this information right from some other systems by passing some inputs for that particular customer, maybe uh, it's Aadhaar number, depending upon which country, right, you are, okay, PAN number and other information, you get some information. And then on that information, what you receive, you do some analysis. And based on the analysis, you have some decisions, right? Again, it can be uh, directly green, red, or amber. Okay, what does it mean is, if you have a good credit score, okay, you don't have any crime check, okay, maybe it's a green case. If you have some very low credit score, okay, or you have some crime check, maybe for serious crime, okay, maybe it's a red case, you reject it. Sometimes it can be an amber. There is might be a good credit score, but you have some ongoing maybe application in the crime check, okay, which can be of the lower severity. Or sometimes you have a very good financial crime report, but your credit score is like somewhere not bad and not very good. You can amber that. So which needs to be again reviewed by the internal bank employees to take the next action. But what does mean is, this step itself is a altogether process for me. Same thing for the credit assessment, right? What you can do is, maybe once you get the financial crime, right, you do some calculations based on the income, expense, uh, financial crime score, okay, and yeah, amount of loan, type of loan, many other factors, right? Based on that, you do some decisioning, right, in the credit assessment. Again, once you get the decisions from the systems, maybe you have some business rules around it, okay? You get some outcome. Maybe it is approved, it is rejected. If it is approved, what should be the interest rate? Depending upon credit score and income expense, right? You might be have a range of the some what you can say, the interest rate which bank is going to offer for the different customers, right, may vary depending upon several factors. So again, to do that, it can be a separate process again, right? Cannot be a single step. Same thing we can do for bank internal approve, EMI process as well. EMIs again can be different. Maybe you can create a process where, depending upon the loan amount and the tenure, you try to create the EMIs. Maybe it will be scheduled quarterly or monthly or bi-monthly. Usually it's monthly, but it can be, right? Depending upon what type of loan you are taking. And if you are completing a loan by doing a prepayment, maybe you have to close those EMIs as well. Again, it can be a logic. In between, maybe you can, we might have forgot something, like there can be a KYC check as well. Okay. To do a KYC check whether all the documents what of a customer, right, are valid as per the norms regulated by the government. Okay. Maybe you have to execute or not, depends upon existing customer or new customer. For new customer, always you have to go for the KYC, but maybe for existing customer, you can skip that part. So again, that can be a step, right? So what we do is, this is kind of a thing, right? Looks like a pretty much a case management for me. Okay. We can develop that by using BPMN, not a problem. Okay. And we're doing it. But when you have a case management, right, it is so easy, okay, to develop your uh, processes, right? Or you're doing the automation, which involves lot of complexity and which are more event actions and conditions based. What is, if you look into this definition, right? This KYC check, right? Maybe it's a condition based. You create a process, and depending upon that, maybe you execute this process or not, just depending upon some business rules. Okay, maybe we have a rule of, if a new customer is there, right, then always you should go for a KYC check. But for existing customer, maybe you can have another rule. If KYC is done 1 year ago, you don't have to go for a, you again have to go for a KYC check. But if it is done for an existing customer within 1 year, you can skip it. Maybe once you anybody submit the application, you are going with all these steps, there could be a possibility, there are classical cases that customer itself withdraw the application. Maybe they change the mind, they don't require this loan, or maybe they get the similar loan from other bank, right, on a better rate. Okay, can be any situation. Then do you think you have to go for all these steps? No, right? You have to cancel them. So that's a event based, right? Or some actions based. User can also withdraw the application. And if we talk about in general, right, it can go for on and on. Okay. There are a lot of events, actions, and conditions are involved. Depending upon what action is happening, right, you may or may not need to execute those steps. That is where case management is very powerful. And we talk about these three terminologies, right? BPMN, CMMN, and DMN. All three are being governed by object management group, but you have to summarize it in a way, right? Then BPMN is something you have the processes, which involves the activities, it's the transactional data and token based. You have a structured process to develop. When we talk about a case management, right? Usually it also involves processes and DMNs all together as well. That's where you design a root process on a case level, and internally you might have some processes as well. So like we can create this KYC check, right, as a process, and we can integrate that process within a case. Works well. Same way when we talk about cases, these CMMN, it's a cases based, it's event conditions and actions based. Okay, quite a complex processes, which is more informative. Okay, more unstructured, and we can call it as a dynamic workflows because we don't know what should be the next step. If you have such scenarios, you develop your application by using case management modeling notation. Good to know. Will not go in detail because that is not been supported in Camunda 8. But context here is when you have some migration projects, right, from one application which supports case management like Camunda 7 does support, or maybe any other product, IBM, BPM, or maybe Flowable or some other application, right, which supports case management, and you have already few processes which are developed using case management, then at least you should have an idea what is this case management is. Okay. And then it helps you to do and execute those migration projects efficiently. If needed, we can also have one class, okay, to discuss that in detail. Then DMN, again, it has been supported in Camunda 7 and Camunda 8. And what I can say, all the BPM products, what are available in the market, they supports DMN. Okay. They use to automate your decisions, which are more rules. Okay. Static rules are there, right? Which is like every application, like in loan application, you might be having some credit assessment rules depending upon income, expense, and other things. Maybe you have some eligibility rules, loan eligibility, maybe. So maybe depends upon age. So whomsoever is applying should be, let's say, having an age greater than 21, or maybe you're not giving loan who are having age uh, like greater than 55. Okay, should not be less than 21, or because if you have more age and you're applying for a more mortgage loan, right, depending upon what type of loan is, you feel that, yeah, that person, right, is not able to pay the EMIs accordingly. So maybe, and the nationality, maybe. Few nationalities, right, you might be restricting, okay, depending upon some geographical conditions. Somebody who is applying from, let's say, uh, countries which are restricted by international agencies, okay, you don't allow those nationalities to apply for the loan. Okay, depending upon that, your maybe salary. Okay, if you are a business person or you are a salaried person, what is your minimum salary? You should always have this check, right? Maybe depending upon that, you have some generic outcome whether you are eligible or not. So when you have such scenarios, you can model those decisions, right, very easily by using DMN. And these DMNs you can integrate in your processes or your cases. There is a specific task to execute them. Okay. But there are few tools like SAP Signavio you might have heard about. Okay. This is more towards facilitating the DMNs as only. Okay. It's more about a rule based low code platform. A few tools also call it as a BDM, business decision modeling. Don't get confused with that. Any questions so far? Okay. So when we talk about these things, right, when we understand about these three terminologies, you might think, right, why we need them. Okay. Because all these three terminologies come with a low code platform, low code notations. What are they? Again, we cannot learn in one session. For that, we have a training module and programmers. Okay. But then thinking about loud about the scenarios, right, what you can automate, you can think about or you can see about some customer case studies, okay, by using Camunda, right, and the customers who have okay to publish their processes as well. One of the customer is like Goldman Sachs, okay. They have, and this is a case study what they have shared 6 years ago, okay. Over the period of time it has might have changed the numbers, okay. So what they have mentioned is they have workflows which they have created by using the Camunda platform, and internally they have 60,000 total users, which is like 100% of their company, who are in some way, okay, in their capacity, they are being integrated with those workflows, okay. Daily basis, they have almost 8,000 users. 10 million new activities they are doing it on daily basis, which means transactions. They have decisions almost like 250 million decisions they are executing on a daily basis. By using this platform, they are almost triggering these many emails on daily basis, that we are talking about daily basis. Then you can see the other numbers as well. Okay, how many developers they have, how many workflow models they have, more than 3,000 workflow models, 1,000 decision models, and UI forms as well. If you think about other numbers, these are there in the system, okay, or on this slide. So again, if you think about a Zalando, which is like one of the European company, which works like similar to like we have Flipkart and Amazon, okay, very popular in Europe, especially in Germany and eastern side of the Europe. So they have online uh, uh, what you can say platform for processing the order management, and they are also using Camunda, where yeah, it's not about how many processes they have, but you can see here the end-to-end process execution, right, they have in 300 million seconds. The number of transactions, they have 144 million transactions which is been processed annually online by using Zalando using Camunda, right? And many other factors as well. When you think about the use cases, there are many use cases. These are just handful or few examples. But if you think about use cases of Camunda, you have in the IT, you have for some technical use cases, you have some business processes like customer onboarding, data management, order management, claims management, loan origination, risk management. You think about it, okay, technical use cases like human workflow automation. Whenever you think about, there are more users are involved, right? Let's say invoice processing, okay, accounts payable, accounts receivable, you can leave management system. So these workflows can be automated by using those workflows. You have some decision automations, or maybe these are the few classical examples of IT initiatives as well. If you think about the common use cases throughout the verticals, like somebody asked, right, what are the common use cases uh, we can think about of automating? So you talk about financial services, insurance, or telecommunication, right? Depending upon the challenges, right? Few examples have been listed here. Like in the financial services, you can have fraud detection, underwriting process, maybe in the insurance as well, loan processing, KYC process, asset management, claims handling. Same way for the insurance, customer onboarding, claims processing, underwriting process, regulatory compliance, telecommunication, maybe order management, payment processing, complaint handling, customer service. All these things you can automate. And then, yeah, even if you go for the public sector, technology and media entertainment, these are few examples there, but these are not the limited one. The idea here is you go to the verticals or you go for some horizontal side as well, you see lot of workflows, okay, which can be automated depending upon the challenges. And you need to identify those common challenges. Based on that, you create the POCs and then you automate them in your real processes. Somewhere when you think about where there is a need of uh, human and systems, right, all together, and they works well. Like at times you need to automate few things by doing some system tasks, but still you might need some humans, right, to review. And there is a very good saying about this thing from Gartner, okay? Like they say, in today's world, 55% of the tasks can be automated. Okay, that is what they have some statistics I was reading almost like 8 months ago. But the important thing here is, right, if you look into this, 55% of the task can be automated, okay, by using IT systems. The beauty here is still you are talking about 45%, right, task, which are still needs humans, right? That needs to be reviewed or have to take some actions, right? That is where the BPMN tools, right, will shine. So you have systems and humans come together to do the end-to-end automation. Okay. So if I have to make a summary, right, that is where you can use your BPMN automations, right? Where you need to coordinate well between systems and user. And whatever examples we have seen, right? Maybe if you think about this loan application, leave application, KYC process, you might see there are users, there are systems, okay? And how you can create those workflows. Then for that, we have the notations and terminologies and the guidance around it. Based on that, you can create those particular processes, right? In by using these BPMN tools, whether it's Camunda, IBM BPM or Pega BPM, whatever, okay? They gel well with systems and humans, interact with each other. Then, of course, you have different components like console. What you do here is in console, if you go right, you can see some statistics around it. Okay, you can invite some other users as well. You can see how many clusters are running. But main tab is like clusters. Cluster is something how you create your clusters. Like there is a limitation in the trial version. You can create only one cluster. So we can delete that, okay? And then you can get this option, right? Enable, create new cluster. Here, if you create a new cluster, not many things, you just need to give some name, okay, and which provider. There are two providers supported, AWS and GCP. Then you can select some regions and you can provide some tags. We will create a new cluster from the scratch when we start our demo application, okay. But yeah, it will create your cluster, okay, in one of the environment on which, right, your engines will be running. And what are these engines? These are the internal engines. ZB, Tasklist, Operate, Optimize, and Connectors, right? You can see here as well. What are these? That is again, we're gonna discuss. But then you can create some APIs, okay, which means you can create some clients, okay. These clients are nothing but when you have to integrate with the external services, right? You create those clients and these clients, right, you can configure in your, like, if you click here, right, you can just give some name, create it. So what it will give is it will create a new client for you and you have those properties available. You need to copy them, okay? Maybe you're using a Spring Boot application with the properties or YAML. Again, we will discuss that. You're using desktop modeler to design your workflows. So one of the common approach which we have in Camunda 7 is to design your workflows by using desktop modeler. There's a exe file you need to download to design your workflows. But in SaaS version, you have the web-based browser, which is more user-friendly and many additional features as well, which is not there in the desktop modeler. But still, if you need to model your processes, you need to just copy your these properties so that you can also deploy from them. Nothing but these properties, right? If you look into this, you just need to uh, copy them in your application properties, right? Which will integrate your backend applications, right, with your ZB client where it is running. Again, if you have some secrets, nothing but like you have anything in the key vault, sensitive information which you do not want it to hard code, you should not do that. Then you can also create the secrets here, right, in your console. Okay, by using this, you can provide the key and value, and these secrets, right, you can use in your models as well. Alerts, if you need to get some alerts, right, from the application, you can create those alerts as well, like you get it from on your email, or you would like to get it on the webhook. So any incident or any bottleneck issues, right, if you have in your processes, you start getting those alerts as well. For more details, you can also read this documentation as well. Again, what are the activities are happening, right, in your console? You can see that if you have any backups in trial version, you cannot create the backups, but in the production versions, right, enterprise versions, you can also create your backups for the failover things. And then some other settings, like if you would like to enable or disable some of your settings, right, or you need to delete your account, you can also do it from here. That is more about start. And then organization thing, you create the users. Okay, you can add new users, you can provide the role of those users as well, whether it's a modeler, analyst, admin. Okay, there are 7 different roles are there which you can assign to them, and you can invite those users as well. Create some groups, like if you would like to create any group, and then you can add those users also in that group. Activity, usage, some administrative APIs, you can again create the client credentials, some client and pricing, which you can refer from here, and settings. This is more about, we can again discuss in detail, but yeah, doing for some administrative activities, right? You have this console. Modeler is for designing or doing the development. You can create your DMN processes or your BPMN processes, okay, from there. Again, that is something we need to, it's a bread and butter where we need to go in detail and see what are the different options are there, what all things you can do from the modeler. Okay, how you can deploy them, how you can also debug them. Even if you create any new application, right? Let's say if I create a new application, you can give some name, okay, for that application. There is a component palette, there are some warnings, you can get it on the bottom. Center, you have a canvas to draw your workflows. Right hand side, you have the properties. These properties will change depending upon different task what you have. Okay, there might be some common properties, there may be some optional properties as well. What are these options are all about? Okay, how you can change the things, you can create some, let's say, depending upon the activity, right, you can have other options as well. Like if it is a user task, I can create a new form as well. Okay, I can link something, I can create a new form as well. Once you create a new form, you can get the options to create a forms by using again low code. What are these options are again, we can discuss. You can create a form by using AI generator as well. Let's say create a loan submit application form. Okay, what it will do is it will generate a template for you, okay, which can use it if you think it is good. But yeah, it's a template which you can also modify based on your need. So you can see, right, it has created a form for you. Okay, but again, you think, right, it instead of full name, you would like to give the name as like customer name, you can do that. We will create those forms, okay, and different application. What are the properties for that? If it is a text field, it's a drop down, it's a remarks field, it's a checkbox. Okay, so depending upon that, right, there are different properties are there again. You can deploy that applications as well. You can deploy and run as well. When you deploy and there are human tasks, you can have a out of the box application task list where you can manage end-to-end life cycle of a particular. Again, you can see that, right, design phase where you cannot deploy them. Okay, you can just do the design phase, you don't develop or you don't configure the application, just like designing your process. Implement phase, you can also configure the properties. Play, like you can also debug your processes here itself before you even deploy. You can also end-to-end test your applications as well within the modeler itself. Very helpful feature for the developers. Okay, instead of deploying your application, you can directly test how your workflow is getting executed. Again, multiple features, you can do the export, you can create some milestones, okay? You can provide some comments. Many other features are there, which we will discuss in detail in our regular classes. Operate is like a debugging tool where you can monitor your processes which are being deployed, okay? You can do some administrative task as well, like migration and other things as well, deletion of the task. Optimize is like your analytics and dashboard part. So more about that, I have already shared the link of the trial version. But yeah, this is something where we can stop for now. But if you have any questions, maybe quickly you can throw that question. I'll be happy to answer.
So, can you just advise one thing, whether do I do it required, whether it is required to uh, do hands-on for Java and Spring Boot in order to understand this Camunda?
Um, to be honest, right, it depends upon what is your role. Okay. Sometimes you just, I have seen projects where as a Camunda developer, right, you have to just do the modeling part. Okay. But even if that is a modeling part, I will strongly recommend it. You should have a basic understanding of a Spring Boot application. And that is something we are going to discuss in detail, how you can create a Spring Boot application from the scratch. And for Camunda specific things, what all things you need to do is mostly you have to write the job worker. So if you need to write a job worker, what is a common logic, right? What are the basic syntax and steps you need to follow? All these things we are going to discuss, but not in detail about the Java and Spring Boot in nutshell, because then it will be a separate training for the Java itself. Okay. Having a knowledge is always good. Sometimes you have a role of full stack developer where you need to model, also you need to code. Maybe at times you are going for a headless integration where you need to also do the UI UX part as well. At times you might also have to do some pre-sales activities. Maybe at times you need to also do the administrative activities as well instead of DevOps team. So it depends upon company to company, right? Project to project, where you are working in a small company, mid-sized company, larger company, roles are different. But if I talk about as a in general, you should have a good understanding of the BPMN concept first. Okay. Like at an experience of 10 or 15, nobody asks you to do the core development most of the time. The idea here is to have a sound knowledge of your domain, which is your BPMN domain. Go up with the solution design. What are the best practices around it? Okay. How you can develop your processes, or what are the uh, feasibility of automating that part. Come up with the design part, and then you can help in the development as well by doing the modeling. But at times if needed, yeah, write the custom code as well. So in general, 80% these are the expectation, but it may vary depending upon company to company and project. And having a knowledge of Spring Boot or microservice is always good to have.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, guys. In that case, if no further questions, we can stop for the day. We are already done with the scheduled time as well. Wish you all a good rest of the day, and you can connect with the training coordinator, and then we can discuss about the next step and class accordingly.
I have one
Thank.
question, like from scratch, understanding and learning of this Spring Boot, how much time will it take? Any idea?
Yeah, it depends upon person to person, but we will be having one or two classes for that. Okay. And then the idea is not to just serve a plate, right? That this is something you have in the Spring Boot and just eat it. It depends upon, like, we cannot cover, because then it can go for like many months as well. The idea is in this training, you will get sound understanding of a Spring Boot application, how you can create it, how you can write the job workers. But then sky is the limit, right? Depending upon this training program will enable you to understand the concepts and also to write the basic code, okay, for that. let's say if you are going to do uh, a job which a Java pro developer is doing at the age of 10 or 12 years of experience, and we are expecting you get this knowledge in 1 month of training, maybe then I will say straightforward that's a false expectation. But what we are going to do here is, let me share the screen. We are going to create this Spring Boot application, right? Step by step. Okay. How you can create or integrate this Spring Boot application with your Camunda modeler. Okay, how you can create a particular Java class. Okay, which will have the ZB dependencies, right? How you can create those job workers. How these job workers you can integrate in your modeler. So end-to-end life cycle. Okay, of your uh, process where you write some service task. Service task is nothing but where you integrate your custom code which can be written outside your modeler. Okay, how you can write that, how you can deploy them, how you can integrate them, and how you can configure them in your processes. This is the complete life cycle we are going to do. Okay, creating this application is once, but then you can see, right, there are multiple ZB workers are there, right? So we will be having lots of exercises, okay, which we do on regular basis from second week and onwards. Okay, where if I'll tell something on once, right, maybe you get 10% of it. When we do the same exercise, same cycle again for the second time, maybe the confidence score will be better. Okay, that's why I have so many ZB workers here. The idea is when we do it on repeated time side, doing the same thing, it will help you to gain the confidence and understanding as well. So we create the ZB worker without passing some information from the modeler. Sometimes we pass some additional information from the your BPMN modeler and process that information here. Okay. Sometimes we also create additional information in your backend service, which we pass it back to the modeler. So all these exercises, different scenarios we will do. With that, I think you get a very fair understanding about knowledge. Okay, what a ZB worker is, how you can create the job worker, because you need some practical knowledge, right? Instead of theoretical knowledge, what you need to do. That is what we are going to use in that training. But again, it's not a consulting part. We enable you to understand with the topics, give you a kickoff with the starter of understanding this product. Okay, how you can implement your BPMN practice, right, in this product, how you can deploy end-to-end cycle, and then yeah, you get everything what is needed to start doing the development. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take it as no then. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a good rest of the day.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.